Hello everyone, welcome back to Lucky Loaders 15, and in this video we're going to be previewing the 2019 Lincoln Handicap tomorrow at Doncaster. We'll be going through some of the stats in the last 10 years for one of our big race previews here. Also as well, we'll be looking at some of the runners and riders for this year's renewal, looking as well at the betting, and I'll be giving you my top 4 picks for the race, and hopefully we can try and help you find the winner. Now, I actually did a preview for this race last year. We actually did find the winner with Auxere, and hopefully we can continue to do the same. So without further ado, we'll get into some of the trends in recent years. I think always a good sample size is the last 10 years, and you're going to see a graphic on the screen now of the previous winners from 2009 to 2018, the last 10 renewals of the race, and you'll see straight away obviously Auxere at the top of the screen, the most recent winner. He was 4 years old last year, he was rated 99 and he was 5-1, so he was quite prominent in the betting. I think when I put him up he was about 8-1. He was very well supported on the day and he absolutely bolted up on a very tough Lincoln surface. It was soft that day and that was quite unusual, but this year it's probably going to be good soft ground, so no excuses for most of the runners here. Now, probably one of the key trends I think that's quite notable in most recent years is the last 3 renewals of the race have been won by 4-year-olds, and you're looking, I think, at potentially horses that are coming under the radar and they're going to be going on to better things, and probably maybe late developers for maybe group and listed races, and I think that's definitely a good angle. Auxere went on to win some group races afterwards. He did disappoint afterwards, but he certainly was probably one that was a bit too good to be a handicapper. Also as well, you had the likes of Secret Brief with the Godolphin operation. He was 4 years old, rated 100 as well. So you're looking as well at horses that have got quite good rating. The lowest rated horse in the last 10 years to win was Leviate, or Levitate I should say, in 2013 when he was rated 90. But apart from that, you've had a lot of horses rated in the 100. In fact, actually pretty much 3 of the last 4 renewals have had a rating of 100. So you're looking at horses that are around about that handicap mark. You're looking at horses as well, like we said, that are probably unexposed and still on an upward curve. A few old timers have won it, with the likes of Gabriel, who's 6 years old. Also as well, Brayhill as well in 2012. They've won the race. Also as well, some of the stables that have been represented in the race in the last 10 years are the likes of William Haggis. He's won it a couple of times, obviously won it last year, so you should always respect his runners. Also as well, David O'Meara's won the race a couple of times in the last 10 years. Also as well, another trainer to mention is Richard Fahey. He's got a good record in the race. He always has one targeted for the race. And that's just a few things I think you should note really. So if we actually look at the average at the bottom of the screen there, you'll see that it's 5 is the average age to win the race, 99 is the average handicap rating, and the place they were in the betting was 14-1. We haven't had a winning favourite since 2010, and often it is quite a surprise winner. It does tend to come out of the woodwork. So that's just a few things of some of the winners in recent years. The categories you might want to look out for, like the age, the rating, and also as well where they were in the betting. Just a few things of note. I think it's definitely worth considering when having a bet in this race and trying to find the winner. Now, if we flash up on the screen now, the betting for this year's renewal, and you'll see currently at the top of the market is Auxere for the Godolphin team. Now this horse a couple of weeks ago was around about a 10-12-1 shot, but he's been smashed up because James Doyle has been booked to ride him, and they're kind of thinking that he's definitely fitting the profile because he's 4 years old, unexposed, and he's trained by Charlie Appleby, who you should be taking note of. And also as well, James Doyle is coming to ride this horse, and he isn't going over to Dubai for the World Cup, which it is tomorrow, where he probably would have had a good book of rides. So that does say a lot, and we'll talk about him in a sec a little bit more. You'll see the likes of Kinran, good solid handicapper. Also as well, Barringer, 12-1. Was a very good handicapper last year, raising through the ranks. You've probably got Ripoff, who's probably one of the more solid options in the sense that he does well in these kind of races. Won quite a few decent handicaps last year. I remember at Ascot a couple of times, and he ran some good races elsewhere too. So you're looking at horses probably from a range of backgrounds, kind of the unexposed routes, and also as well the decent old veterans that have been there, got the t-shirt before, and I think really, if you're kind of looking at the betting, that it does seem to suggest that with Auxere being very warmly fancied, you're probably going to be wanting to look at an improver this year and a horse that's unexposed. So I'm going to give you my top four for the race now, and just thinking of some of those reasons why I think they'll run well is, first of all, we will look at Auxere in a little bit more detail. He is unexposed. He's won over a mile before. He's 4 years old. He's rated pretty much at the rating you need to be rated at to win this, 100. They've pulled it off before winning this race back in 2016 with Secret Brief. And I just think he's got a lot to like. But maybe one bit of a concern could be that he hasn't had a run since last year, and also as well, most of his best runs so far have come on the all-weather. So that is a bit of a question mark there. But I think at 7-2, even though he is definitely a worthy favourite and you can see the case for him, I think you've got to be taking him on at the prices, and I'm going to take him on with a couple of others, and I'll give you my number one pick in a bit. The other horse that interested me, who's quite prominent in the betting, is Humbert for David O'Meara. Won the race back in 2017 with Bravery, and this horse Humbert has actually not a bad record at Doncaster. He was second in the Spring Mile last year, behind a nice horse of the Auxere Racing partnership, whose name escapes me now, but that was a good effort there at Doncaster. He's run some good efforts before. Also as well, he goes well fresh. He's won fresh before when he won on the all-weather on his first ever start. So no qualms of him coming back from a bit of a layoff. I think he's been targeted for the race because he was brought by David O'Meara a couple of months ago from the Hugo Palmer team, and I think they like his chances tomorrow, and I think he could definitely run a good race. So he's going to be one of my four picks. So that's going to be Auxere and Humbert, I should say, are the first two picks in my top four, but I haven't given you my number one yet. Now, the third selection on the list that I thought could definitely go close is another Batt. Now, this horse is trained by George Scott and Cameron Nobles, but for the ride tomorrow. Now, this horse ran a good race in defeat behind Sharjah Bridge, who could be a good bet tomorrow at Doncaster, who's odds on. Now, he finished fourth in Handicap on Champions Day at Ascot in really good style, and actually, even though he hasn't been tried over the mile too much, he's actually shown promise running over the mile. Also as well, he went out to Meydan for some of the races in Dubai this winter, and he's actually won one of those on his first start out there, and he's been running in some decent races since then. He's going to be race fit, and you know that he won't need a run tomorrow, so he should be fit and primed to go. And with Cameron Noble claiming the £5, he would be top weight, but that could definitely come in handy tomorrow, and I think he's definitely got a good chance of going fairly well, and I think he could definitely take a lot of beating if he's in the right mood, and his race fitness does give him that edge. But the one horse that I'm going to go with tomorrow as a crack in each way bet, I think, I'm not saying he's going to win, but I definitely think he's got a chance of going very close, and that's a horse called Great Prospector for Richard Fahey. Now, we already touched upon Richard Fahey does have a good record in this race. He's won it a couple of times, and a lot of his horses do make the frame. Now, Paul Hannigan has chosen to ride him tomorrow, where Richard Fahey did have a couple of other runners Paul Hannigan could have chosen from, but Great Prospector fits the bill. He's 4 years old, he's got the rating, he's ran a good race before at Doncaster when he finished fourth here as a 2-year-old. He won on his first ever start not at Nottingham, so he shouldn't need the run. Richard Fahey can always get tuned ready first time out. And I just think, even though he hasn't shown too much before over a mile, I think he could definitely be suited in a big field where they're running strongly off a strong gallop, and being a horse that likes to come off the pace, that could definitely suit him for a late turn of foot. Also as well, he ran in some good races before in group and listed company. If he repeats his run behind Tabarak and Emanaus of Roger Varian's at Redcar towards the end of last season, that definitely puts him in with a great chance. Before that, he had some decent form as a 2-year-old behind Gustav Klimt and some other good runs. Like I said, he finished fourth at Doncaster in a decent 2-year-old race here, so he does go well at the track, and I think a long straight as well will help him. And I think maybe this could definitely play to his advantage. He's 40 to 1 with bookmakers at the moment. I thought he was just too much of a big price to ignore. With some other firms as well, he is 25 to 1 and even 20 to 1 in places. So I just think if you can still get the 40 to 1 out there, he's a great bet tomorrow. Also as well, I should mention about draw. I think really it doesn't really matter too much, in the sense that I don't think there's a bias at Doncaster. I think it's better to be more maybe middle stand side, maybe would be where I would like to be if I was a trainer, maybe not so on the far side, but to be towards the near side I think is good. And actually a lot of the main protagonists tomorrow, who probably will be there or thereabouts, are on the near side tomorrow. So if there are some strong pace makers about, that could definitely suit great Prospector, who is actually in stall 19 I believe, so that's not a bad stall for him. And I think, like I said, maybe if the race did plan out his way, he would want a strong pace and he could be running on late home, but so could quite a lot of these other horses. It is a tricky race to muster, but I just thought if I had to narrow it down to four, my top four for the race would be Auxere, Humbert, another Batt, and my main bet for the race would be great Prospector each way. You could probably get 5 or 6 places on the day, and I think at the prices, I think he'll go off a lot shorter, and I think he's a bit of good each way value. So that's my thoughts and feelings on the Lincoln this year for 2019. If you haven't done so already, please hit the subscribe button as well for more videos here on my YouTube channel. You can also follow me on Twitter as well. My handle is @LuckyLoads15, and that's all I've got to say. So please gamble responsibly. Hopefully I've given you a few things to think about for this race tomorrow, and we'll be seeing you soon.